We're going to be discussing the 10 concepts of the therapeutic community today, and I want to start by asking both Karen and Charles to answer this first question. Can you describe to us really the first step or the first concept in the therapeutic community is practicing self-help and mutual help? Can you describe to us what practicing self-help and mutual help really is?
Well, I love the way Charlie says it when he talks about peer-led, peer-driven community. That's what it's all about. That's really what the whole therapeutic community is built on. So I'll give you an example of self-help, mutual help. A lot of times, hopefully all the time, we give the clients treatment plans that we include the community in their objectives, in their strategies. So we'll give them assignments that are kind of like go out into the community and ask 10 people how they deal with their anger while they're within the community, while they're working within a therapeutic community. Get their input and then write a paper, 500 words, on the suggestions you got and what you're going to utilize. So not only are they helping themselves by getting the information from the other guys, they're helping the guys to come up with ideas and strategies and feedback for that person also. So it's kind of a mutual give and take. And every time we do that, and I encourage this so much because it's really self-help, mutual help is how we keep the community running. It's how we keep the community connected. We do things like one-on-ones and the peer system. We have a peer system that is in the community to kind of keep the guys accountable for one another. So when somebody is not doing exactly what they're supposed to be doing, or it could be a very slight thing like his pants are not pulled up the right way, his belt is not tied, his shoelaces are not tied, the person writes a peer to address that, a written peer. Mm-hmm. And when he gives this person the peer to address this behavior, he's also helping himself by kind of stepping out away from what he would normally do. He wouldn't just challenge somebody like that or address somebody like that. So it really helps him to see a different side of himself as well as helping the other person to correct the behavior.
So you're utilizing others as a resource, so to speak, and the resource in utilizing self-help, the mutual help come as a result of that. What I hear you say is that something that I haven't experienced myself in looking and being involved in a therapeutic community, wherein I first arrived at this community and didn't know anybody, at least I didn't think I knew anybody, and then I was standing in the chow line, and suddenly I realized I saw somebody I had been knowing for years, and he happened to be in the same program. Well, I was very excited about that, and so I spoke up and said, "Hey, how you doing?" And then a young kid walked up to me and said that I'll be getting back with you later for speaking in the line, in the chow line. And I said, okay. I realized that was probably something that I shouldn't be doing, but I was kind of taken back by this little fellow coming up to me and bravely confronting me about this, and I said, okay. And then he came with me later and gave me a little write-up and told me to sign it and told me that was brought me up on my awareness, so to speak. He said, you need to be aware that that's not part of the rules and that we're here to help you follow the rules. I said, okay. And then the next day I was in the same line and I saw another fella. He did the same identical thing, but this time before the facilitator in the line could get to him, the officer had already approached him and told him to go back to the office, into the control office, and he would meet him there, and then he later gave him a DR. And then I realized very quickly that the peer was a better opportunity for me to change my life, because the peer was looking out for me, opposed to when I was confronted. If I was confronted by the same, for the same incident by the officer, the consequences would have been different. And the learning experience for me was that this person cared enough to confront me about what I did wrong. And I saw him as getting the opportunity was it was a mutual help for him because he was assertive. He was a small fellow, and I was much larger than him. And I thought that that was good for him also because he was able to be more assertive. And when I say being assertive, when you have a peer-led, mutual help, self-help, it brings you in a position where you're more assertive. And you've heard the phrase that by just saying no, you know that when you say no to a person, that's important because you're saying it with conviction, but also you're saying it because you really believe it, and you're helping each other believe it together. And it's kind of a mutual help that you're getting to understand that these things are not going to be tolerated in not only in this community, but a community at large.
You're describing an interesting dynamic for those of us that might not have been a part of a therapeutic community, because you have the accountability of the official staff, the officer, but you also have the accountability of all of the inmates for each other. That's a very unusual thing. What are they learning really by taking that kind of responsibility to confront each other?
Well, I say the biggest thing that they learn is they're taking a risk to change their thinking pattern, change the way they think, and actually help somebody else change the way they're thinking. They're actually abiding by the new rules of life, and as a result of that, they're in it together. I think Karen mentioned earlier about a person receiving a write-up, and basically confronting one another for negative behavior. I often say that if you don't confront somebody for negative behavior, then you're condoning it. And if you condone something, you might as well be just like you're doing it yourself. And so not only are they're not condoning negative behavior, but they're confronting one another. And as a result, they're helping each other understand the rules of life applies to them and change. In order to change, they must make these necessary adjustments in their life to be productive in society as productive citizens. And I see that the whole dynamics of this process is basically how people begin to look at life and change the way they're thinking. And
yeah, but don't you think, like Charlie, don't you think it was really hard for that guy to write you a peer?
Absolutely.
This little guy stepping up to somebody like Charlie and writing him a peer. What I see with self-help, mutual help, and the whole peer system behind it is that they get an opportunity to be that better person, to really try something different. And then that's what the therapeutic community is all about. It's a practice field. And the peer system has everything they need to try things out. It's all trial and error, because they're going to come up against a different personality every time they write a peer. And they're going to go so far away from what they would normally do that they get this real wonderful opportunity to challenge themselves and to turn around and at the end of it say, I can do this.
And it predicated on honesty, and being honest with yourself and being honest with your peers, and basically with experiencing this new way of thinking, but kind of like in a laboratory where it's safe,
right,
and that you don't have to worry about the repercussion of an institution like the institutional life, and you have this opportunity to change the way you're thinking. So it's a great opportunity for our clients in this peer-led, peer-driven environment to have self-help, mutual help, helping each other to overcome their difficulties in life.